So, the remastered edition of Physical Graffiti is upon us, and Jimmy Page is with us. Jimmy, how are you?
He is, yes, I'm here. I'm live and well.
Yeah, good stuff.
I'm remastered, I'm totally remastered here.
In preparation for this, I got Physical Graffiti out, an old 2 CD set, which said newly digitally remastered from the original master tapes. So
Yes.
What's different this time?
Okay, well what that is, it's over 20 years ago.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Physical Graffiti comes out 40 years ago,
Yeah.
this February.
Yeah.
So basically, now it's 20 years ago as a result of hearing CDs and sounding, it can sound better than that. And now we're at a process where, you know, some 20 odd years after that, we're in a situation where you've got the music's not just listened now in one format. There's so many different formats that it's listened to. There's been a sort of a renaissance of vinyl again. Of course, there's still CDs. Alternate mixes, alternate versions, etc., which make up the companion disc. A completer picture.
Yeah, well, the companion disc, yeah, because it's quite interesting to hear those early mixes and things. And some of the songs that we've come to know and love had different titles. Was Trampled Underfoot really called Brandy and Coke?
Well, it was at the time, because...
Is that like a working title?
It's a working title, and I put some of the working titles on these companion discs just to see the sort of sense of humour. I mean, I must say that wasn't my favourite drink. I was more an absinthe man.
Were you? Right,
yes.
okay.
Yes.
From Bohemia. Tonight we're going to party like it's 1899.
Well done.
On the absinthe. I was going to ask you a little bit about what life was like during recording, because of course you were at the semi-mythical Headley Grange, which I think was a former workhouse in Hampshire, wasn't it? What was it like? Was it in a good state of repair, or was it kind of leaking and a bit kind of...
No. It hadn't just been refurbished or anything like that.
No.
But it was funky, and it was. Listen to the music that came out of it.
Well, indeed.
Listen to the ambience of those rooms and that hall. It was just so right to actually go there in the first place. And now we've got a second opportunity to go back for this album, which is going to be Physical Graffiti eventually. And it was something that I was looking so forward to going back there because of what had been done there before. It was iconic work, and it was an iconic location for us.
Well, let's hear the Wanton song from the album. Put us in the picture now. Are you all playing together in the hallway of Headley Grange doing this?
No. Because the hall was next to the main sort of sitting room there.
Right.
And sometimes it could be a bit of each. Sometimes the drums would be in the hall and you'd be in the other room or whatever. But yeah.
Would you be playing at the same time then in different rooms?
Could be.
Right, but so you get
nothing,
the drum.
There was no one way that it was done.
So the most important thing was to get the drums down, was it right? And then you could overdub and repair the rest.
Well, you couldn't overdub the drums, so
no.
you had to make sure that the drums were like complete. The recording situation of when the levee breaks is totally individual to all the other things that happened.
Right.
So basically, what you said to begin with, which I would, endorse, sure. We're all playing together, and that's the thing with Led Zeppelin. You wanted to capture the performance, you wanted to capture the essence of what the number was about, the energy of it.
That's the Wanton song from the remastered Physical Graffiti. Jimmy Page is talking to. I mean, people talk about John Bonham and everything, and I think that's a perfect example of what people talk. When Robert Plant was on the show and we played Custard Pie, and he was saying he really enjoyed hearing John Bonham's swing because, he had everything, but he had the ability to make things swing, didn't he?
The thing about John Bonham was that he just had an extraordinary technique and imagination. An application, he was an incredible technician, and really, if you think about it, the first track of the first album, Good Times, Bad Times, he changed his drumming overnight.
Well, I mean,
that's all there is to it.
Well, people
So
still
we
listen to the
enjoy-
kick drum on that and think, how is he doing that?
Yeah, I originally people must have thought, oh, maybe this is multi-tracked
Yeah.
bass drums, plural, but
Yeah.
no, it was just that's what he could do. His technique is
Yeah.
incredible.
And it's great, the Wanton song, because I love the way that between the riffs, it just does that monumental snare whack, but then occasionally puts in an amazing shuffle, you know, it just changes it, and it's really great.
Yeah, he was fantastic to play with.
Yeah.
He and I worked so well together.
So you're all at Headley Grange. Were you living and working there? Did you have bedrooms upstairs and record?
Well, there was. We certainly did that on the first visit.
I think I know the answer to this, but was there a set sort of working pattern? Did you start at certain times, or did it just start when it started and finish when it finished?
No, we kicked off really early.
Did you? What sort of time?
Well, I don't know. 3 in the afternoon? When we were sort of in residence and staying there, we'd sort of get up and have breakfast, and then we'd just sort of more or less go straight through until we had like evening dinner, I think.
Right.
We weren't. It was pretty constant because it was so much coming out. It was just really exciting that you'd want to be there and doing it, you know.
Did you have a chef looking after you, or was John Bonham getting the frying pan out to do the bacon and eggs in the morning?
John Bonham did actually cook a stew at one point
Did
in
he?
time. He did.
Right, yeah.
He did, and it was magnificent.
Right, okay. But did you have people there, sort of aides de camp, to look after you so you could concentrate on the music? I guess you must have done.
Well, let's put it this way, I wasn't going to cook breakfast.
Right, okay, right. How much of Physical Graffiti was written before you got there?
I was always really, looking forward to going in to do a Zeppelin album. So even from the first or whatever, second, third, I'd always have quite an amount of material going in. By the time of Physical Graffiti and even before that, I had my own recording studio at home, a multi-track recorder, so I could try various ideas without having to try them sort of in the studio on Led Zeppelin time.
Right.
You see. So I had like the whole of the structure of 10 Years Gone. I had, curiously enough, you've mentioned Wanton's song. I had that riff and Kashmir, Sick Again. In fact, when we first got there, it was just John Bonham and myself.
Right.
And I had the opportunity to try. I was really, really couldn't wait to try the riff of Kashmir and all of that with John Bonham in the hall and this huge sound. You know, it was.
Yeah.
I could hear it being orchestral before I'd even got to the point
Yeah.
of playing it with John Bonham, but it was superb. It was so trance-like. It was magnificent.
Would you have any words at that stage, or would you play these to Robert at Headley Grange and he would start to work on the words there? Because I know famously he wrote the words to Stairway to Heaven, didn't he, at Headley Grange?
Yeah, but he also, a good example is I had the whole of the 10 Years Gone as you hear it. I had all of that, all the guitar parts, the orchestration. I didn't want to waste time there, trying to figure things out or whatever. Although I did do most of my playing was very spontaneous, like solos and all the rest of it.
Right.
But this, it was sort of tailor-made to be a guitar orchestral piece, so it was totally complete. Robert started singing along with these, with the lyrics. It was so plaintive and so reflective of 10 Years Gone. It was absolutely perfect, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Magnificent.
Tell us about In the Light, because I want to play In the Light now, and which I think is just one of the wonderful tunes on this double album. So, incidentally, with a double album, was it difficult sequencing the tracks? Because, I've looked at these tracks, and has there ever been a time when you thought, oh, maybe we should have finished with Kashmir of the whole thing? Because there's a lot of tracks to get in an order, isn't there?
At that time, you have to understand that the album was going to be quite revolutionary, really, and radical to what people had heard before, because each of these songs was a really strong character piece. It wasn't like everything sounded the same at all, and I figured that the sequencing of it was really very important.
Yeah.
Because it would set up the next song as it was coming, and of course you also have to think that, like Physical Graffiti, you might have it on a CD or whatever, but then it was on 4 sides of a record, so it was important how you opened up, how you presented. I thought it was very, very important of how you would present each side and to open it, and so you get drawn into it, and how you would continue that journey and how it would end. I think it was all right. It was the right way to do it.
Right, okay. And it's great on vinyl, isn't it? Because the sleeve is fantastic on vinyl, isn't it? The New York brownstone with all the cut-out windows and the pictures that slot in. The sleeve works fantastically well for the vinyl edition.
I think so. It was an extension, really, of what was done with the third album, with that wheel that turned and the little reveals in the circles.
Yeah.
With the wheel, you couldn't really get the full benefit of what was on the wheel because it was stuck inside the cover. And so with Physical Graffiti, it gave the opportunity to continue that idea of the sort of slots with the reveals, but under the circumstances, you'd be able to see everything.
I imagine it was quite expensive, wasn't it? Because it's not a standard production, that, of a record.
Well, I think the record company probably, they probably gritted their teeth and moaned, but it was really iconic, wasn't it?
It was, absolutely. Well, tell us about In the Light. We're going to play that. It's sort of 8.5 minutes worth of it, because I love this. It strikes me that the Zeppelin thing, even the guitar solo in this starts off being a riff, and that's the thing about these great long Zeppelin tracks. It's riff after riff after riff after riff, isn't it? There's kind of another melody, another hook just round the corner.
The version on the companion disc has got the sort of structure, but everyone makes it through this total different lyric approach to it. But within the Light, you get the full picture of just how important everybody's input was on these things when it was all going like that. Because John Paul Jones's introduction, it's got a drone, his guitar drones and all that, acoustic guitar.
It's almost impossible to hear what instruments are being played
but
at that
the opening, it's a synthesizer opening. It's just absolutely stunning. And I always thought that it reminded me of Shenhai, which is an Indian instrument, but it's just absolutely astonishing. And then Robert comes in with his block vocals, which is sort of like the music of Bulgaria. That's that sort of aspect of things, and it's just really, really, it's just amazing stuff.
So, the remastered edition of Physical Graffiti is upon us, and Jimmy Page is with us. Jimmy, how are you?
He is, yes, I'm here. I'm live and well.
Yeah, good stuff.
I'm remastered. I'm totally remastered here.
In preparation for this, I got Physical Graffiti out, an old 2-CD set, which said newly digitally remastered from the original master tapes. So
yes, years after that, we're in a situation where you've got the music's not just listened now in one format. There's so many different formats that it's listened to. There's been a sort of a renaissance of vinyl again. Of course, there's still CDs, alternate mixes, alternate versions, etc., which make up the companion disc. I mean, I must say that wasn't my favourite drink. I was more an absinthe man.
Were you? Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
From Bohemia. Tonight we're going to party like it's 1899.
Well done.
On the absinthe. I was going to ask you a little bit about what life was like during recording, because, of course, you were at the semi-mythical Headley Grange, which I think was a different this time.
Okay. Well, what that is, it's over 20 years ago.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Physical Graffiti comes out 40 years ago. This February.
Yeah.
So basically, now it's 20 years ago as a result of hearing CDs and sounding, it can sound better than that. And now we're at a process where, some 20-odd, a completer picture.
Yeah, well, the companion disc, because it's quite interesting to hear those early mixes and things. And some of the songs that we've come to know and love had different titles. Was Trampled Underfoot really called Brandy and Coke?
Well, it was at the time, because...
Is that like a working title?
It's a working title, and I put some of the working titles on these companion discs just to see the sort of sense of humour.